All right, welcome into another episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. I'm Kirk Kriesa. That is Robbie Hummel. I just listen. I wanted to get some more swagger, so Kerr gave me his headband. I'm decked out, and now I'm going to come onto this pod with more effing swagger than I've ever had, Robbie. So I'm ready to go, baby.
I will say that. Well, first of all, let me get about Kirk Kriesa's swagger, then we'll get to you. I do think that Kirk Kriesa plays with some of the most confidence and swagger of anybody in college basketball, which is impressive because, I mean, he's good, but there's a lot of guys that are really, really good that don't carry themselves the way he does. But that's probably what makes him an effective player. Getting to your headband, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me, and I wouldn't say that Kerr looks like this, but with you wearing it, it kind of looks like Porky Pig's headband in Space Jam. That's what it really reminds me of. The thickness.
You say I can't pull this off?
Kerr does it way better than you. Kerr does it way better.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. So the story, how about this? And you can kind of tell me your favorite story that comes off this, but go to the game, go back home to Arizona. We'll talk about Texas Tech in a little bit and my trip to Lubbock, but after the game, Arizona wins. They're obviously celebrating. I'm at kind of a restaurant bar right off campus called Gentle Ben's. Good little spot. And a buddy of mine, Jim Root from Three Man Weave, we're just grabbing some food and a couple drinks. And
you're celebrating as well, of course.
That's right. I'm celebrating as well. And we run into, as we're leaving, we're going to a bar that I've always gone to. It's been there. It's an institution called Dirtbags in Tucson. So we're headed over there and we're leaving, and Kerr walks in with a couple other players, and we're talking for a minute, and he had already given me his headband, which I'm gonna take off now because I don't need to look any more ridiculous than I've already looked. So I tell him we're going over to Dirtbags, and I'm like, it's the older people's bar. I'm gonna go over there, and that way I'll feel. He's like, no, like we're going over there too. Like we're going over there in a few. I'm like, what do you mean you're going over there? Like it's the old people's bar. He's like, no, it's like the place again. Dang, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go over, check it out. I was with three other guys we had met at the bar that had like recently graduated. They were in their late 20s. And we went over, and luckily somebody was able to get us in. There were like, I don't know, probably 50, 75 people waiting in line, and somebody was able to get us in so we didn't have to wait. And we're inside, and all of a sudden I see a knock at the door. Like he's like, it's Kerr. Like they can't get in. They can't get in. They just beat UCLA, Robbie. UCLA, their biggest rival. They're a top 10 team, and the players, Kerr's 21, and the basketball team, I think everybody was 21 on the team that was trying to get in. They can't get in.
Really? That is surprising.
It's pathetic, is what it is. It's not surprising.
So did you hook him up?
Eventually, it took a while. It took like 5 or 10 minutes.
You got no pull at the University of Arizona anymore.
I went up to, there were like, a bunch of girls at the front of the line. So I said to him, I asked the doorman, I was like, hey, what's the deal here? He's like, like they got to wait in line. I'm like, come on, man. Like, what if I asked the people in line? So I asked like two girls at the beginning, front of the line. I said, hey, would you let them? And they're like, they're not famous. I said, no, they may not be famous. I said, here's what I said, but they beat UCLA today. What did you do today? And they just looked at me and walked in. I'm like, come on, this is bullshit.
Dude, you know what you were trying to be like there? You were trying to be like the people at the airport who are like rushing through because they're going to miss their flight. And they're like, oh my God, we're in such a hurry. Can you please let us cut the line? And everybody's like, yeah, we're trying to make our flights too. They're trying to get into the bar too. That's what you were there.
Did you ever have problem when you were 21 getting into a bar in West Lafayette? Ever? Could you just jump the line every time?
Yeah, for the most part. But at the same time, I think if the line wasn't absurdly long, you wait. You kind of look like a D-bag when you're like, oh, I'll just walk right through. So, I mean, you could do it occasionally, but I wouldn't do it like every time. And if there's 4 people, I'd wait in line or.
No, there were like 10.
I mean, if there was like 70 people, which I've seen it, Purdue doesn't have that many bars because a couple of them have closed. And so really at this point, there's probably 2 that you'd want to go to. which is sad. So the lines can be really long. So yeah, like if it was really, really long and it was a one-off, yeah, you'd cut, but you kind of do look like a D-bag if you're routinely cutting the line.
Yeah, I think you're right. And the word I got also was that one of the players or somebody with the players told me, he said, they're upset with us at Dirtbags because we never, they don't pay. And I'm like, I get it, but like you're a top 10 team. Like who cares? Don't you want the players in there if you're these bars?
I would
know. Maybe
think. I mean, well, it depends on how they're acting. I've seen certain teams go into bars and act like just total clowns. And then if in that case, you're like, this isn't worth the.
Kerr was good, man. He was drinking.
They're bringing.
He was drinking non-alcoholic beer. I was making sure. I was being like the father figure.
He was crushing O'Douls.
Well, I was more worried. Like if something happens and I'm here, how is that going to look?
So I had to make sure. Gives you a call. Jeff Goodman,
right?
Sabotaging Arizona basketball.
Yeah, I'm never invited back to Tucson. It's 55 degrees. I know people were saying it was cold, but for me, yeah, I'll take 55 good, right? Over the ice I'm trudging through right now to walk my dog every day. So it was a good trip. But I was curious if you had any of those issues getting in a bar that Kerr Kriisa did.
I feel like if we wanted to get in, we knew enough of the bouncers. And, I think that especially like my junior year, we were pretty good. I don't think it was a problem. Now, before I was 21, no, I couldn't have gotten into any bar. They were really strict about that. But you know what? Purdue is Purdue's a huge Greek campus. So the fraternity parties were huge and they were almost maybe more fun than the bars. So that's where you used to go after a big win. You go to the frat parties. Yeah. You would go to frat parties. There was like 5 good ones. Fiji was really good,
right? You drink
water.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, of course.
Fiji was great. And actually one of our players on our team was a Fiji. So we'd go there a lot. Sig Up was really good. Sig Chi, Snoo.
Give me your best frat. Give me your best frat story. Give me your best story in a frat. Anything that got out of control, completely out of. Did they have you doing anything crazy?
I'll tell you the. No, I mean it was like a normal party. Like there was a lot of beer pong and like just music, and different rooms had different stuff that you could like basically different people in there. The Purdue frats, I would say they were like normal. It wasn't insane. The coolest night we had, Etuan had a friend who is now actually, I think, maybe a sports agent, or he's involved with some of that stuff. At the time, he's from Chicago. He was on the 50 Cent show, and he was really connected, and he was a rap promoter. He was doing some rap promotion. So they threw this concert the year I sat out, Etuan and Juwan's last year, at Snoo in April during Grand Prix, which Indiana has Little 5, which is a bicycle race. It's like a week-long party, and Purdue has Grand Prix, which is a week-long party leading into a go-kart race. And there's all these concerts, and so Wiz Khalifa had just released this album, so they, which made him really popular. So they booked him on the cheap, and then he blew up. So we had Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller outside of Snoo on this hill on a night where it was like 80 degrees in April. And it was this is the greatest night ever, because there was so
doesn't happen in West Lafayette.
It's not a West Lafayette type deal. Now we also had Snoop Dogg come to Purdue, and we got to hang with him, which was hilarious. But I think my favorite frat night had to be the Wiz Mac Miller, just because everybody was so into their music, and it was like a perfect night. That was pretty cool. But Purdue had a lot of random rappers come through the frats, which could be good or bad. I don't even think you'd know who some of them were.
No,
Afro Man came through. Gorilla Zoe, which is so random.
I'm a huge Afro Man guy.
Young Jock. Like we had the most random. If you're into 2000s hip hop, there was some solid acts that rolled through the fraternities, and they would just clear out like their great halls, and they'd build a stage, and they would. I feel like Ryan
Smith probably loved a lot of these rappers.
I mean, we all did. They were good.
All right,
in our like era, they were good.
More important than peace of mind, nothing, and that's what NordVPN is here for, to give you peace of mind while you are online. And with all the threats that you face today on the internet, it's more important than ever to be sure that you can have the best VPN you can get. NordVPN is the world's best VPN service, offering the fastest connectivity, most servers, and next-gen encryption to make sure that everything you do online stays secure. Plus, you can use NordVPN on all of your computers and devices, no matter the operating system. With NordVPN's unlimited bandwidth, you never have to worry about a slow connection either. And plans start at under $4 a month. So grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/believe or use the code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV to get up to 70% off your NordVPN plan, plus one additional month for free. It's also risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. You've now been dubbed the hardest working man in college basketball. You know that? Like legitimately, people can't wait to see where Robbie Hummel is every single night, because you could be anywhere. I mean, absolutely anywhere. You could be in covering a Bulls game in Canada, right?
Yeah. The thing was, well, first of all, this is my job, and I only work really from November to April. So it's
you play golf. Yeah.
And 3-on-3 maybe. So it's
like if you're over. Hey, that career might be over.
Unknown. But so it's like when you're working, you gotta work. And this was supposed to be a week where it was going to be busy, but for whatever reason, Stacey King, he's not traveling right now because of his COVID. He had it and it was pretty severe for him. And he didn't want to travel. So I think after All-Star weekend, he's going to start doing that again, which is, I think, this week or next week. So they built him a studio, but because the road trip started in Canada, I don't know if it's a technology issue or if it's a legal issue, but they couldn't make the studio work with the game being played in Canada and the studio here in Chicago. So they hit me up like a week ago. And again, it was going to be a busy week anyway. Let me pull my schedule up to see what it actually was. It was going to be
right.
Maryland Tuesday, Illinois Wednesday, Indiana Saturday, Iowa Sunday. So that's and studio Monday night. So that's a pretty substantial week. But a week before, I get an email from the Bulls, and can you do Toronto and Indiana? Well, Saturday I'm at IU, so it's like perfect. And it's such a good opportunity to do NBA. You feel like you have to say yes.
Right.
No,
you miss NBA.
I love watching the NBA, and I love college basketball too for different reasons. But I just think the way those dudes play, and the Bulls are really good, so they're fun to watch.
Right.
It was too good to pass up. So the problem was the winter storm freaking landed, made this into a total nightmare. So like Tuesday, do the game at Maryland. So we're flying out of Reagan Wednesday morning. Now I got to get to Illinois. Luckily, the game's at 8, Illinois, Wisconsin. So as you're getting to Sunday, Monday, you're seeing the reports of the weather. And it's like, man, the snowstorm's coming, but it was very vague. It was like Chicago could get 2 to 14 inches and Champaign could get 4 to 17 inches. So you're like, well, if it's 4, it's not going to be that bad. If it's 17, it'll be horrible. So we're in Washington, D.C., and the night of the game, I'm trying to see if maybe Jason Benetti and I can get out of Dulles because the game was at 7. Maybe there'll be like a 10:30 flight. There's not. So I changed my Wednesday flight to 6 a.m. And that was the only flight that went from DC to Chicago. All the other ones were canceled. We landed, it was snowing pretty hard. I get to the rental car place, rent a Toyota 4Runner. Luckily, I had 4-wheel drive. It took me 4 hours and 30 minutes to get from Chicago to Champaign. That beats your record that you set.
I was going to say that's about how long it took me without any snow.
I mean, there was trucks jackknifed all over the place. I shouldn't have drove. If I knew it was going to be this bad, I should not have done it. Took me 4 hours and 30 minutes. There was cars off the roads everywhere. I was lucky that at the rental car place, they had a car like a 4Runner because that thing is more built to go through it. So we do the game. It's pretty good. Illinois beats Wisconsin. Now I've got to get back to Chicago. It only was like 3 hours probably back, which is still long.
After
but
the
it
game,
wasn't nearly
right after the game.
So that's at 10 o'clock. Stop at home, swap my suits out, I stayed at the O'Hare Hilton, had to do all the Canadian. I mean, Canada it's hard to get in right now.
Is it?
You gotta get tested within 72 hours. You've got to fill out these forms. You've got to you can't just go into Canada like you normally would.
You did that Thursday morning?
No, I'd done all that stuff over the course of Tuesday and Wednesday, but I finalized it all when I got to the O'Hare Hilton. I get there at, I want to say 2 or 2:30. I've got an 8 a.m. flight to Toronto. So I get in, do the game there, fly with the team to Indianapolis, do the game for the Pacers. The Bulls had a car service drive me to Bloomington. So do the game, fly back to Chicago after the game. Sunday morning, yesterday, I flew to Iowa City and knocked that out. The game at 3 and then drove home. So now I'm here.
Tired? You tired?
From the lack of sleep because of the early flights, and I don't do well at going to bed before 11, probably. I just have a hard time falling asleep before then. And I've got a pretty busy week this week too, and then it kind of mellows out. But the thing is, I really love.
We need you back on After Dark, by the way.
I don't know. I'm not sure if you'll see me again the rest of the year. But I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because I love my job, and I think I'm very fortunate to get to do this job. So while it's a lot, it's my own doing. I could say no. But
you hate to say no.
I really enjoy. Yeah, you hate to say no, and I realize that my summers are pretty free, and I might do some stuff announcing wise this summer that I haven't been doing in the past, but I'm very lucky that I get to do it. And
where they should have you on? They should have you on Summer League for sure.
I would love to. I know. Yeah. I know that I've talked to my agent about some of the Bulls stuff that I've done, maybe getting that to the right people to see. But I do understand that I'm super fortunate to get to do this. I mean, you're sitting in pretty much packed venues. I mean, even this week, I've got Purdue, Illinois, Rutgers, Ohio State, Maryland, Iowa. Those games matter for the NCAA. I mean, Iowa needs to win at Maryland, and Ohio State. It's the RAC's a tough place to play. Purdue, Illinois could be the best game of the Big Ten year. We'll see. Then we got Michigan, Ohio State on the weekend. So
let's start with that. Can we start? Let's start with Illinois. Purdue, Illinois, tomorrow night in West Lafayette. You've seen both teams a lot. You saw Illinois recently, and they didn't play Curbelo much, right? Yeah. I mean, it was Trent Frazier at the point the majority of the game. They were really good with him at the point. Tell me how you think Brad Underwood, now that Curbelo is healthy, should handle this going forward. Should Curbelo be a 15-minute-a-game guy coming off the bench? And Frazier, to me, I think Trent Frazier's been one of the top 10 point guards in the country this year, Rob.
He is. He totally is. Yeah, I think Brad's going to take the temperature every game. I think it's one of those deals where Plummer and Frazier have played really well, and DeMonte Williams is not coming out of that starting lineup because he's such a Swiss Army knife. He is an elite role player. I mean, defensively, rebounding, making plays for people, knock down some shots against Indiana. Grandison is a really good role player too. So I just think that with
Goody's been good.
Yeah, no, he has. He's not afraid. I mean, he made a 3 in the first half, and then he airballed one in the second. But that happens, unfortunately, for shooters at times. No, I think Curbelo will come off the bench. I think if he's playing well, he'll have games where he plays 25, 28 minutes. If he comes in and turns it over, I think you'll see Frazier at the point, Plummer at the 2, and that's just kind of how they'll roll. But I don't think it's going to be a set 15 minutes. This is what you play. I think if you're playing well, then he will play a lot.
Right.
Because he is a changeup, and he's a changeup for the way he can get Kofi the ball. And Frazier can do it too, because he'll play pick and roll. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like for him, he'll pass. But the pick and roll is probably more so for Trent Frazier to score a lot of the time, which they need him to do. I mean, he is a great scorer. So when Curbelo comes in,
he feeds the post differently too. He
does
differently than Bella.
Yes, totally. But when Curbelo's on the floor, it becomes less 4-on-1 and way more pick and roll and hit Kofi roll into the rim. It just kind of changes up the look, takes away the ability to post double, and he can now make that pass to the weak side because that weak side defender is worried about Kofi at the rim. So I think that
Frazier and Plummer on each wing.
No, and Grandison, who's 43, and DeMonte Williams shot 54 last year, but this year is probably 35. So I think that he's a great changeup for them. I really do. As long as he is okay with accepting that role, which it seems like he has. I would say he's been good about it, especially considering how much hype he had in the preseason and non-conference before he got hurt. Yeah, I really like Illinois. I think tomorrow is going to be an unbelievable game, and the atmosphere is going to be off the chain. So I do think, but I really like Illinois' team. Brad has got to be in the conversation for Big Ten and National Coach of the Year with the injuries he's dealt with, and I think if you asked a week ago, you'd say Greg Gard's got that locked up. But now, much like Johnny Davis having Big Ten Player of the Year locked up, I don't think so anymore. I think
it's wide open. It's still wide open.
There's still a month to play, but you can't give Brad enough credit for the job that he has done of just kind of plugging guys in, finding ways to keep your head above water when that seemed like the world is ending. I mean, they had Coleman Hawkins playing point guard early in the season because
that's what I'm saying. You lose your point guard. When you lose your point guard, usually you're done.
Well, I mean, he's lucky that he's got so many good guards. Plummer, a great addition. He's been from a shooting perspective, and he's improving defensively. He still does some things where you're like, this dude doesn't guard all that well. Yeah. But you take that because of the way that he can make shots. Frazier coming back was just so huge for them.
Oh my God.
To do the fifth year, and he's just a winner, man. He plays the right way. He plays with a lot of confidence. He was making shots at Assembly Hall where you're just like, man, he is killing these dudes. They did a good job on Trace Jackson Davis, who really, I think, struggles against guys that can match his physicality. When he can't overpower guys, he can't take them outside. There was one time where I think they picked and popped him, and he ripped and just drove it by Kofi. And that's kind of the way that you probably got to get him involved against the Purdue's and the Illinois. Because, I mean, you're backing down Kofi Coburn, and he's not moving. That dude, he's no chance. You're literally, it's like, you're backing him down, and he's just holding his ground. You got to face up and drive. And that's where his inability to shoot really hurts him. In the second half, Xavier Johnson was really the only guy I thought that was able to make any sort of play against Illinois' defense.
Yeah, this game is probably, to me, probably determines the Big Ten regular season title.
Well, I mean, Purdue would have the tiebreaker over Illinois. If Purdue wins, they've got that tiebreaker. And if Illinois wins, I want to say they have a 2-game lead.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think Purdue falls out of the one conversation if they lose this game. And if they win it, they're firmly entrenched right now. Because I think whoever wins the Big Ten, maybe not Illinois because they kind of stubbed their toe early a little bit. But if Purdue wins the Big Ten regular season title, I think they're a 1 seed.
I want to say Purdue right now, though, I will say, I think Lunardi's got them as the number 3 team in
overall,
like number 3 overall.
I do too. Yeah, I do.
And you're looking at who they've got left at Michigan State, at Wisconsin, Indiana. The rest of the games are, Michigan away, Maryland home, Northwestern away, Rutgers home. So I wouldn't say take them out of I don't think it would take them out of the 1 seed deal totally.
Right. It'd be hard.
But I do think that they would probably fall to the 2 with the opportunity to get back to the 1.
Want to make some money? How about you invest it in an exciting asset that's outpaced the S&P 500 by 164% for 25 years? I'm talking about art. Masterworks is the new investing app that lets you invest in blue chip paintings from icons like Picasso, Monet, and Warhol without needing millions. Over 300,000 people have already signed up. Get priority access with our unique promo. Log on to masterworks.art/believe. That's masterworks.art/believe, BLEAV. See important disclosures at masterworks.io/disclosures. All right, so tomorrow night's environment should be as good as probably any this season, other than the game that I saw this past, Tuesday in Lubbock. The game, you and I
You're
talked.
a local now. You're a local. You're a fellow Lubbocan.
They love me. I mean, how about this, Rob? They tried to get me. I was on a platform at one point, taking some videos, whatever. And they went from hating me to chanting my name and liking me and taking selfies and all this throughout. They're chanting my name to shotgun a beer before the game. And I'm using the excuse. I'm saying like, hey, I can't do this before the game. I'll get fired. Now, the real reason was I haven't shotgun a beer in God knows how long. Like, it might not have been pretty, Rob.
Here's my question for you. You might be looking at this all wrong. Do you think that the Texas Tech fans were playing the long game and really they hate you? And they're like, if we can get him to shotgun a beer on camera, we can get him fired and ruin his life.
I don't think so. But
you think it was genuine?
Who knows? You never know. I mean, you never
this
know.
This guy's talked way too much trash about us. He said we're the worst job in the Big 12.
I know.
You know, they might have remembered that. And they might have said, let's play the long game. We'll act friendly. But really, we have one goal in mind when Jeff comes to town. Get his ass out of there.
Get him fired.
At stadium. Get him fired at stadium.
I have never seen anything like that. Like,
it was incredible on television to watch. It really was.
Was the most shocking part on TV when Beard walked out and was surrounded by the 5 cops?
Yes, because I felt like I was watching a boxing match in Vegas. Like it felt like you were watching this prize fight.
He's
and
in the
fighters
middle
come out.
Right. I thought he was going to come out. Everybody was going to go in front of him, and the cops would be kind of standing off to the side a little bit.
Was it necessary to do that, do you think? I mean, there was a lot of yelling, and
we didn't know.
It was. I mean, better be safe than sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were just taking precaution. Texas Tech really did it. Beard brought his own bodyguard of sorts, or whatever you want to call him. He brought one guy. But Texas Tech were the ones that said, hey, we're going to have at least 30 cops in the arena.
My thing is, what is one guy going to do if 1,000 students decided, let's jump this dude? Not that they were going to do that, but I mean, this guy's going to fight 1,000 kids out of the student section.
They were pretty good. The students, I mean, they were just yelling, fuck you, Beard, and fuck you, Texas, fuck you, UT, the whole game. They were just, but their student section is awesome because it's 4,500 deep.
Yeah, I mean, it goes up into the upper decks.
What is Purdue? What do you think Purdue has for students in there? A couple thousand?
Yeah, I would guess. Because it's on both sides. Yeah, I bet it's probably 3,000 kids at the game. I would think.
I mean, I went from Lubbock to Tucson, McHale Center, which is considered one of the best home atmospheres in the country. It was like going from Yankee Stadium to like watching the Milwaukee Brewers play.
Yeah, right.
It made Tucson look like the minor leagues. The fan,
but that's kind of that's kind of the way that the Pac-12 atmospheres seem to be, though. I mean, other than Arizona and UCLA.
UCLA was great when I saw them against Villanova earlier. This year.
I know. I remember watching on TV and thinking it was really good. But outside of those two schools, do you get much of an? I've been to a Cal game when Conzo Martin was the coach there because we were playing the Warriors, and I was shocked at how. I mean, it was like going to a high school game.
Stanford was good when the Lopez twins were there. Really good.
What was the game when the guy was it Casey Jacobson made the half court shot and Tiger Woods was sitting courtside?
Yeah.
That was a good atmosphere. I remember watching that.
Stanford's had it going at times, right?
Yeah, when they were really, really good. That's fair. Oregon
has had it going, but yeah, it's again, I've just never seen anything like this before. And Gottlieb kind of said, no, that he tweeted out it wasn't as good as Kansas or Duke. I think it was better because of the venom involved.
Because of the meaning behind the game.
Yeah.
Actual hatred. Yeah.
Yes. The lead up outside where the fans are out there for days. I mean, I'm walking around, Rob, honestly, before the game, hours before the game, and people outside are just handing me beers, literally just coming up to me, handing me beers. I'm like, I've already had a couple. Like, I can't keep going like this. Handing me shrimp. Like they've got food trucks out there.
Was it refrigerated or was it cooked?
I got it from the food truck. It was good.
All right, that's fine. I wasn't expecting. Lubbock is really nice and on the ocean and all. I'm sure the shrimp was real fresh.
It was fine. It did the job. But all right, what is the most hostile environment you have ever gone into, or as a player or covering
this. This is easy for me.
Okay.
This is an easy one to answer. The most hostile environment I ever played in was in Belgrade, Serbia. USA, Serbia, pool play game, World University games.
Really?
It made anything in the Big Ten look so JV just because of the hatred that Serbia had for the United States. I mean, we had armed guards. After the game, I remember thinking there was people all around our bus. It was, so you got to understand with the Kosovo and some of the stuff that happened in the late 90s and early 2000s when NATO went in to take, I guess, to end their, I don't want to get into the politicalness of this discussion, but there was an event that happened and it ended up with NATO removing the leader of, I believe, the former Yugoslavia, which then broke it up into like Serbia. And there was like a lot of people died and NATO bombed Belgrade.
Okay.
So you might not even, I wasn't even really aware to this until getting there. But there was, I don't know if there still is, a very intense feeling that the United States was doing this and was I guess under control of the bombing. So there's still buildings in Belgrade when we were there in 2009 that were bombed out. And I'm telling you, dude, when we took the floor, I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just throwing stuff. The game ended. They're throwing coins on the court. They're throwing food on the court. We won. I think
so
Taylor Battle,
running off the court.
We ran off the floor. Taylor Battle, I think, made a play late, and we missed some free throws, and they missed a shot. They ended up winning gold. That was a pool play game. But I'll never forget at the medal ceremony, they win. We won bronze against Israel. We lost to Russia in a game that I swear was fixed. It was so bad. But medal ceremony, we were told, walk down the baseline. Now there had been like a threat made. They made us watch the game in this room in the like doldrums of this huge 19,000 seat stadium. It's full and Serbia wins. They're like, yeah, threat has been made against you guys. So I'm just like, dude, get me out of here. This is crazy. And we're told, walk down the baseline, walk down the sideline, get on the podium to get your medals. Cool. So I'm walking out, and one of the guys in front of me, this little girl is on the baseline, and she pops out, and she's got this big smile on her face, and she just flips us off. And one of the guys on our team goes, man, forget that, and flipped her off back. He flipped off a 5-year-old girl.
Oh,
I mean, there was legit hatred. I mean, it was strong, and it was very eye-opening, I think, for us. We were like, man, you watch the Olympics and people love Team USA, because it's the NBA guys that they watch on TV. They don't care about the World University games. It's not the same. So that was an interesting experience for a lot of us. The team had Deshaun Butler and Evan Turner, Dion.
We got to get Evan Turner on the pod, by the way.
Yeah, he'd be great. I bet he'd come. He would have good stories about Serbia.
Yeah, I know.
Bo Ryan's relationship was fraught.
Frosty. All right. I can see Evan going back at Bo Ryan a little bit.
Oh, I mean, yes, it was. I think Evan quit the team like 6 times. David Falk would convince him every time. We were roommates, so I'd listen to these conversations. And David Falk would be like, you can't quit. This would look very bad. You can't quit the World University Games team. The best thing that Evan did, though, I might have told this on this podcast before. He got put in a game in pool play. We were playing against somebody really bad. Like we played Finland, played South Korea, who had this like literally suicide press of we either get a steal or we give up a dunk. Like it was the worst press. Like we get a dunk 4 times out of 5 and they'd steal it once. And so we're playing one of these teams. Evan gets in the game, turns it over a couple of times. And with Thad Matta, it was like, dude, if you turn it over 100 times, just keep making plays. I don't care. We need you to do it. Bo Ryan has the opposite viewpoint of that. You turn it over once, you might come out. Twice, for sure, you're coming out. So Evan turns it over. Bo rips him out of the game. I mean, think last in minutes, last in scoring, second pick in the draft next year. Unbelievable. That type of dude was riding our bench. So we get in the locker room, and I mean, Evan is pissed. And he's sitting there, And the big Beats by Dre headphones they're still big, but they were huge then. They just come out and they had the big bass. So he puts his headphones on and he's listening to music, and Bo comes in to start doing the halftime speech. Well, while Bo is talking, Evan rips the loudest fart that I've ever heard in my life. I mean, just fucking unbelievably loud. The fact that he was able to do it on command is incredible. And Bo Ryan didn't flinch, dude. He didn't even acknowledge it. I mean, it was like a battle of wills in the locker room. It was incredible. That's unbelievable. Great. Evan would be good to get on here because I'm sure his recollection of Serby would be hilarious.
Man. All right. So I asked you because I think I saw a guy that I think is the most underrated player in college basketball this year. And I think you saw one that you could claim is one of the most underrated as well. I'm curious to get your pick, but if you had to pick the most underrated player in college basketball right now, who would you pick? Who's kind of that guy that you just want on your team, right? Yeah. If we're picking again of a 13-man team and you're saying, I have to have that guy. I know. Don't pick. I forget who you had some
Tyson Etienne, maybe.
Yeah, you had some really bad ones. I forget who else. Somebody, I think you picked Nate Laszewski too.
I wanted to spread you out at the 5.
Yeah, well, he can shoot it. He can shoot
needed
it.
To stretch 5. Yeah.
Who would you pick?
I mean, Frazier comes to mind for sure. Yeah. I think that's who I'd go with. I just think he's a winner, and I'll say Trent Frazier. I'm going to keep thinking, but you tell me who you got.
I would go with Kevin McCullough at Texas Tech. I friggin' love that kid. I just think he's all about the right things, like Frazier is. A veteran who told me, I mean, the craziest part was, so when Beard leaves, they go to the AD Kirby Hockett kind of, takes the temperature of some players there. Obviously, the big ones are Terrence Shannon, McCullough. Well, McCullough on day one, literally, I think Beard left and Adams gets the job, Mark Adams. And it's a shock to everybody, right? It's an absolute shock. But Adams was smart. I think his quote was something like, I'm not getting on the bus, or I'm not getting on the plane. I'm from West Texas. So to rally the fan base.
Rally the fans immediately.
Yeah, smart.
That's smart.
That's smart. Good play. Played his hand well. Gets the job. And Kevin McCullough comes out on day one, he told me, and says, I'm staying here. I'm playing for Coach Adams. And if he doesn't do that, Shannon, remember at that point, Shannon tells me that he's up in the air because he's in Chicago at the combine. And he said, I was like 75% gone at that point. I didn't think I was coming back. Well, he comes back and he's got a really good relationship with Adams too. McCullough's already coming back. So it's a little bit easier for him to say, hey, I'm coming back as well. But McCullough's that guy. They don't have a point guard, Rob. They don't have.
Was Kyler Edwards ever close to staying, or was he out of there immediately when Beard left?
Yeah, I don't know on that one. I'm not sure, but he's been great for Houston.
Oh, he's been killing.
Yeah. So McCullough's just that guy to me that embodies everything that's right with Texas Tech, right? He's been playing hurt all year, number one. He says and does all the right things. He makes plays with the ball in his hands when, again, they don't have a point guard. They do not have a point guard. He's their de facto, he does what he's kind of that Swiss Army knife, right? He can, whatever you need him to do, you plug him in. Hey, go get us 8 boards.
Right.
Go distribute and get everybody the ball. All right. We need you to get a bucket. We need you to make a big 3 or get to the basket. Whatever. We need you to be a leader. He does everything. I'm telling you, any team you give me right now, I want Kevin McCullough on that team. He's that important to Texas Tech for their culture, for their winning, for their ability to do everything. I friggin' love the kid. Love him.
This player is not under the radar, but I want to talk about him anyway. So my pick will be Trent Frazier. Keegan Murray last night was unbelievable. Unbelievable. He's going to be a lottery pick too. I fully believe that. I think Keegan Murray, Johnny Davis, I know Davis has struggled a little bit the last couple of games, and Jaden Ivey, those guys are going to be taken in the lottery. I mean, Keegan Murray's his defense on Jamison Battle last night, who's actually been really good for Minnesota from a scoring standpoint, was phenomenal. And I mean, just playing both ends of the floor, making shots from 3, driving the ball, the effort plays, though. I mean, you don't really have to run plays for him. He posts guys up and pushes guys up the floor and gets great position and gets offensive rebounds and transition. He's really good. He might be somebody that maybe is flying under the radar a bit nationally. I think in the Big Ten he gets talked about. He'll be first team all Big Ten, but
sure.
I know, and that's crazy because he's on the late 20 wooden list and whatnot. But I feel
like
Iowa
has been good, but Iowa hasn't been
because
great.
they haven't been great. He hasn't maybe gotten the recognition that he deserves. When in reality, he was awesome yesterday.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we give Johnny Davis more pub, right? We give him more props because
they've been winning. Yeah,
they've been a top 10 team, in my opinion, all year.
Yep.
Their resume is incredible, and you take him off Wisconsin, you take EJ Liddell off Ohio State, you take Keegan Murray off Iowa. I don't know if any of them are anything more than NIT teams.
I agree. My first team all Big Ten team right now, and again this could change, would be Keegan Murray, Johnny Davis, Jaden Ivey, EJ Liddell, Kofi Coburn.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, so gun to your head, I'm going to give you two different scenarios right now. Would you take Jaden Ivey over any of the big three right now? Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, or Paolo Banchero?
I saw where some, it might have been Chad Ford.
Yeah.
Somebody moved him to number 2. Not in whatever, but boy, I don't know. Those other guys, it just feels like Banchero is a type of generational talent. Holmgren, the potential is so crazy high. Jabari Smith shoots it at such a high level. But Jaden Ivey is a generational athlete at Purdue for sure. Yes. And maybe even, some of the plays he makes, he might be a generational type athlete like a John Morant, Russ Westbrook.
If you can harness, you got to harness it with him a little bit and teach him. I think decision-making is probably his biggest kind of, sometimes you get frustrated with his decision-making.
He's been better about that, though. They played pick and roll with him it was Saturday. They played a lot of pick and roll with him in the half court, and he was making the right play. No, I know, but I think that's what they were worried about was his decision-making with it. He's great as a decision-maker in transition. Yep. But I think in the half court, they had concerns, and boy, you have to say they were pretty much answered against Michigan. Now we'll see Tuesday against a pretty good Illinois defense. But I'd want to see him probably in workouts and stuff. He could, which is incredible to say
in a workout, Rob, if he makes can he make 75 of 100 threes in a workout? And if he does
44 this year,
that's what I'm saying.
He probably could.
I think he could. And if you're an NBA guy, what are you saying? Well, if he works, that's the area. If he's already shooting 40, maybe he could shoot 40 in the league. Now, I think he's a mid to high 30s guy in the NBA, but with everything else, with the physical, man, if he goes to the combine and tests,
he's going to test
off the charts.
Yeah, he will.
He's going to make your 19.5-inch vertical.
That's not what I had at the combine.
You have like a 26.
You want me to pull up the numbers?
Yes, I absolutely want to. By the way, I still don't completely trust the numbers of any. I see how that works. And I know guys, the best part of the combine is guys will try to get, so their standing reach, they're not measured right.
Yeah. So there's tricks of the trade here.
Yes. Right. What are they, Rob? What are the tricks of the trade? Obviously you want to wear shoes that give you more height.
Try to get on your tiptoes just a little bit, to give you a little bit of a lift. The standing reach, minimize it so your vertical looks better.
Yep.
We practiced. I remember I did my pre-draft with Ed Schilling down in Indianapolis. We practiced the 3/4 court run. We practiced the run, slide,
shuttle run,
shuttle run thing. We did all that stuff. So
what's your vert?
Here,
what was your vert? You find it?
Yeah, I've got it here. Hold on. I've got it.
I feel like it was like 26 or so.
Shut up. It was not.
I'm telling
26.
you. Was it higher than 26? 32?
All right. This is kind of hard to read because it's
standing vert. I want your standing vert.
All right. Scrolling over.
So that's what we're going on in New Orleans. Me and you in the standing vert.
Dude, wait, this doesn't have vertical. It's only here we go. This will have it. NBA Draft Combine 2012 measurements. Quincy Acey, beast.
Freak.
All right. Wait, this has got, dang it. This is just like the stuff that who cares about. Oh, combine results. This would be good.
It was everything, right? Everything in there.
Yeah, I didn't need my like height and stuff. Okay.
No.
So this says that I had. Oh, shit.
What do you have?
All right. No step vert.
Yeah.
That's hard. No gather.
Right.
27 and a half.
Ooh, all right. All right.
Max vert. 30. Let's
30.
Go. 30-inch vert. What do you have to say about that, you fraud?
Listen, all I know is you're standing vert now. It was 27 and a half then. That was how many years ago? 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's 10 years ago.
What do you think? We did it, right? Didn't you just do it?
Yeah, I think it was like 20 and a half or something. Yikes.
You have lost all
you
of
know
your
what I remember
athleticism.
about the combine though was how much my knee hurt. I had really bad tendonitis from my graft. So dude, my bench 13. What an animal. I tested out gray here. Now my agility test was
That's why
garbage.
you got drafted.
11.56. The only people that were worse than me were Festus Ezeli, Jacobin Brown.
What was your wait? I want to know what your
I think Kendall Marshall was 12.03 in the agility. Fab Mello 12.1.
What was
your
what do they call it? The body
body fat? I was 9.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Somebody was like 20 1 year.
Yeah, there's been some guys that have like gotten sick or hurt and shown up, and you're just like, oh god.
Hey, you remember the craziest question you were ever asked by a GM in the meetings? The dumbest question.
What was the dumbest question I got?
In the interviews? Yeah, in the interviews.
Somebody asked me, "Who's the worst player here? Who's the worst player here?"
What did you answer?
I can't. Yeah, I did. I can't actually, you know what? No, I can't.
No, don't say who it was.
I can't.
But you answered it.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
an asshole.
I gave 2 guys. One of them I don't like. One of the ones was just being a jerk in my group, who actually is a good guy. So I feel bad about saying him. But yeah, there was that. There was also what does 2 + 1 mean to you?
Huh?
No idea. Like, what does 2 + 1 mean to you? I was like, and 1. I'm all about the hoops.
What did you answer?
Oh, you didn't? I said it's an and 1. So they thought I was all about basketball, which is so dumb.
And you were all proud of yourself after.
I was like, man, that was a good ass answer right there. That was good.
Because you know how many guys answer 3 to that? Everybody.
Yeah. Or everybody. 21 or they're probably like, this guy's a loser. The combine is interesting. Man. The worst part for me was I had a whole day of medical testing because I had most of the guys are like, you do the stress test, which is hard as hell, where you start on the treadmill and the inclines go up and the speed goes up and they see who can set the record.
Yeah.
But it's really to test your heart and it's also to see how tough you are. It's both. But I had freaking x-rays on my back, x-rays on my hand because I had dislocated a finger. I had MRIs on my knees. I mean, it was a whole day of me just over at Northwestern Hospital, like hanging out.
I don't blame them.
I know.
I mean, look at you. You were a train wreck. Couldn't walk.
I still made it. Look at that.
You did. You somehow you overcame every odd.
I eked my way in somehow.
You did. All right. Well, listen. I'm going to put my headband back on for the end of this because I think I looked so good at the beginning.
All right.
I think I'm going to go downstairs and show my wife my new look. What do you think she's going to say?
Did she go to Arizona too?
She did not. She went to Lehigh. She's a lot smarter than me.
Yeah. Lehigh's a good school.
Very good.
Yeah.
school.
I'm sure she'll be really impressed with Kurt. Did you watch that at least? Or did you?
I watched it.
Yeah.
I put it in it went.
You're an Arizona fanboy deep down. You're like, ooh, Kerr wore this. I'm going to keep it.
You're like, can you sign this for me, Kerr, please?
I think Arizona's good though. Arizona is really
very good. They're very good. All right, listen, I know you got a tough week. Get some sleep. Get a little nap in like you used to do in the league. an afternoon nap, and we'll talk next week.
All right. Sounds good.